Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Triple Double Podcast. I'm your host, Eddie Fitzgerald. With me today, not Cam McKee. He's off for the week, and Hunter Nisley.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? It is a Monday night here for the Triple Double Podcast. How about Penn State getting that big victory over State, Iowa? Man. Last play of the game.
Nuts. Absolutely nuts. But this isn't college football. This is the Triple Double Podcast. So, if you guys haven't already, please check out our YouTube channel. It's on our website, or you can follow us on social media at Triple Double Podcast, on Twitter at Triple Double Pod. All that information can be found on our website at Triple Double Podcast. So if you're listening to this, or if you're listening to this on the website, please give it a share. Please like our page. Please enjoy the content and share that content to help us grow and become the best podcast that we can be. Because you guys already think that we're great, so why not come and share that greatness with everybody? With that being said, we're going to hop right in to some NBA news. We're going to start off each podcast with a little bit of some NBA news talk before we jump into the actual meat and potatoes of our segments today. So some NBA headlines. This just came out today at about 2 p.m. according to the Associated Press. And LeBron James held a media day, and it was him basically talking about staying with the Cavaliers. And he said that he hasn't changed his plans, and he wants to end his career in Cleveland. He does have a player option next season, and all signs seem to be pointing him to the Lakers.
Well, I think, gut feeling right now for me, I think LeBron stays in Cleveland.
Really?
With obviously Paul George ended up in OKC. We're going to get into this a lot, but Carmelo just got traded there too.
Yeah.
I have a feeling OKC is going to have a really good season. If they get to the conference finals, is Paul George really going to... Is he going to want to leave and go to a Los Angeles Lakers team that's not proven? A lot of young guys. Who knows what Lonzo Ball is going to be? Who knows what Brandon Ingram is going to be? Why would LeBron go to a bunch of unproven 25-year-old guys when he's clearly good? He's going to make the finals. Maybe not every year now with the Celtics. Making their moves this offseason, but it's just. I don't see him going to LA. I don't know where else he's going to go. I think it just makes sense for him to stay.
Well, I also think that another angle from this is if the Thunder do very well with Paul George, Carmelo Anthony, and Russ, and they re-sign them this offseason, that's a whole debate. We'll get into it. But if that ends up happening and they can push the Warriors to possibly 7 games, they can, Kevin Durant leaves this offseason, or, Klay Thompson leaves, or they snag somebody away from them. Now you're looking at a Thunder team that's very, very tough to beat in the Western Conference. So now, with some prime competition in the West, LeBron might just want to say, hey, I'll take my easy trip to the finals every season and
I wouldn't want to go to the West.
Yeah,
that place is stacked. OKC got better. The Timberwolves got better. The Nuggets got better. The Warriors are really good. The Spurs are always tough. Yeah. Popovich,
Houston Rockets got better. It's just very top heavy.
It's tough. Teams, 1 through 6 in that conference is. You could 2 through 6. You could kind of pick anybody.
Yeah.
So.
No, that's some big stuff out of Cleveland. So he says he wants to end his career. So that doesn't mean that he won't leave and then maybe come back for another return to Cleveland to finish out his career. So we'll see what happens with that. Moving on, our next storyline concerns the Boston Celtics and Marcus Morris. So according to ESPN, Morris is expected to miss the start of training camp due to his trial. Him and his brother Markieff are on an assault trial. It was a whole ordeal. It's not looking so hot for the Morris twins right now.
Yeah, not a good look for the Morris twins. Not a great look for the Boston Celtics. I imagine this will just kind of roll over in a few weeks.
Yeah.
But not the way the Celtics wanted to start off this training camp this season.
No, you're looking at a guy who shoots 40% from the field at the 4. He grabs 5 rebounds a game. He's consistently... He's a positive player to have on your team. Not necessarily a positive guy to have in the locker room, but when he's on the floor, he can create things. He's on a great salary. He can... he spaces the floor very well, which is what I think the Celtics certainly need. And I think I saw him starting this year.
He's their tough guy this year.
He's a tough guy.
He's going to mean more to the Celtics than what a lot of people think. Yeah, you said, he shoots 40% from 3. He's going to spread the floor.
I don't know about from 3, but this season he 41% field goal percentage.
but he's going to obviously stretch the floor. He's going to bring that toughness on defense. That's the one thing, they swapped Isaiah and Kyrie. They're just about equally bad on defense.
Yeah, but Hayward's not physical.
Isn't that great of a defender. He's all right. He has his flashes of
no, he's a tough guy.
Yeah, but it will definitely be a big part for them this season, but not the way they wanted to start this training camp.
So definitely interesting things to watch heading into the season. Maybe like Adam Silver pulls a card out of Roger Goodell's book and he starts banning players on these trials. But the NBA is certainly more player friendly, I would say, as opposed to the NFL. And that concludes our news segment for today. But we're going to start off. We're not going to do the typical who finished last and who finished first. We're going to jump right in to the biggest news coming out this week of the Carmelo Anthony trade. Carmelo was traded to the Oklahoma City Thunder for Enes Kanter, a second-round pick by the Chicago Bulls, which is probably going to be a high draft pick considering where the Bulls are right now, and Doug McDermott, Dougie McBuckets. And I got to say, to get Carmelo Anthony without giving up a first-round pick and shipping off a terrible contract such as Enes Kanter, I got to say, Sam Presti really finessed. Not finessed. I think the Knicks still did well, but I think he certainly got the better out of the Knicks.
Oh, for sure. I mean, if you look at this offseason for Oklahoma City, they managed to get Paul George, Carmelo Anthony, Melo was just ranked number 64 in the league, which is totally false, which is just absurd. But they got Paul George, probably a top 15, top 20 player. Melo, top, 30 maybe, top 30 players. So
I would put him in there. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd have to look at a list.
Two top 30 players. They gave up a young guy, Domantas Sabonis, Victor Oladipo, a spot-up shooter, Doug McDermott, and a back-to-the-basket center, Enes Kanter, and a second-round pick. And they got two guys who are going to just... I love this Oklahoma City team. I think it's looking really good. I think they're going to mesh well with Russell Westbrook this season.
Yeah, it's certainly going to be interesting. We saw Russ kind of... it was that now I do what I want.
Now I do what I want.
Little Uzi Vert kind of deal for Russell. And it'll be interesting to see because... He has the ability to create offense. Obviously, he's Mr. Triple-Double this season. But it'll be interesting to see how much more of a spot-up shooter he was. He kind of just went rampant, from three. He took a lot of wayward threes this year that were kind of really not called for or needed. But I would say that, with Paul George and Carmelo Anthony playing that more of that... Team USA basketball where they don't have to be the guy and to handle the ball 24/7 and kind of just shoot my threes and become that offense when I need to. I think that could be really interesting to see early on and how it develops.
Yeah, I mean, I take a look at you have Russ at the point, and I kind of look at how what the Warriors did a lot on fast breaks last year. If Kevin Durant got the rebound, or they would dish it out to him, he'd run the fast break. Steph Curry would go to one corner, Klay Thompson would go to the other. And it's pick your poison. Do you give up a three to arguably the two best shooters in the league?
Yeah.
Or do you just let Durant get a wide open dunk? I see a little bit of this with this trio right here. Russell Westbrook leading the fast break. You got Carmelo really one wing, Paul George on the other. I really like it. I mean, it's not going to be quite as deadly as that Warriors trio on the fast break.
No, but it's no slouch either.
That's one of the best in the league.
And I think one of the more underrated additions on this Thunder team that Presti has added. I think he's added the perfect power forward.
I agree.
To complement all these guys in Patrick Patterson.
He was. I mean, he's gonna. He's going to find a better guy to complement these guys
excellent
right here.
Floor spacing, excellent ability to defend multiple positions. I think that this team now can shift to, okay, can I play Paul George at the 3 or at the 2 or at the 4? You could play Carmelo at the 4 or at the 3. I mean, the options are absolutely endless for the wings.
They're going to be able to switch a lot on defense.
It reminds me a lot of that Warriors team, that ability to be able to switch guys defensively based upon where you need them and based upon who you're playing. So this could be all like the potential is there, and I'm ready to see it.
Once everything clicks, it could be scary. This could be a scary team.
I definitely agree, and I think that another thing to pay attention to is Terrence Ferguson. Now,
I like him.
He has a lot of potential as a rookie. He probably won't get a lot of minutes, mostly because of that team and there. But he has shown the ability to shoot from deep. He's shown the ability to be an athletic guy. He could be a guy to look for the future. Because let's be honest, has Russ signed his extension yet? I don't remember.
I don't believe so.
I don't think he has. And I think
it's on the table. He hasn't signed yet.
Yeah, and then Paul George is up at the end of this season, and so is Carmelo Anthony. So you're now looking at Presti going all in for this season, seeing if it works out, and if it doesn't, you're now in a better position with better cap space, with more ability to draft higher talent, and now you're looking at a plan that's good for right now and a plan that's good for future. So I have to applaud Sam Presti for what he's really doing here in Oklahoma City, taking a small market team and making amazing decisions.
Oh, yeah.
And bringing in great players.
And yeah, you can see all the love from the fans whenever George and Carmelo got into Oklahoma City.
Yeah.
They're right there at the airport. They're waiting for him to land, and they're cheering him as soon as
Not that much in Oklahoma City happening right now. I mean, you got Baker Mayfield, but
that is true. But the only thing that worries me a little bit about this Oklahoma City team is their bench. It's still not. It's honestly, it might be a little worse than last year, except for Patrick Patterson. But you have Raymond Felton. Who knows what he's going to bring? Alex Abrinas. Jeremy Grant played all right at times. Kyle Singler. I mean, your big guy, other than Patterson, is Nick Collison. That's the only thing. I mean, they're going to keep,
rough.
they're going to keep Russ, Carmelo, or Paul George in the game at all times. But it's going to be.
Yeah,
well, that bench is still a little weak, so that's the only thing that really worries me about this team.
Which is why I think Terrence Ferguson has the potential to be that guy off the bench.
He may get more minutes than we expect.
Yeah, it could be interesting. Abrinas can shoot. He can shoot pretty well. Roberson can defend, and that could be nice coming off the bench, getting that nice defense out in the wing. Other than that, yeah, you're going to be looking to maybe move a pick or two. I don't know if Presti's willing to do that unless they got a commitment from Paul George or from Carmelo Anthony saying that they're going to stay. And you can move your picks towards bringing guys off the bench. So maybe bringing in a nice facilitator off the bench to cover for Russ whenever he's not out on the floor. Jeremy Grant's a nice possible 3-and-D player. He was all right in Philadelphia, but mostly known for his defense. Yeah, I would say the Thunder are making moves. It's arguably one of the best off seasons I've seen since I followed the NBA.
Yeah, best in a while, especially for what they gave up and what they got back.
Yeah.
It's pretty incredible.
It's truly remarkable. So Sam Presti, I applaud you here at the
Awesome
Triple Double
job,
Podcast. Yeah. Moving on, we're going to now focus on the spookiest team in the West, the Minnesota Timberwolves. Obviously, they've added Jimmy Butler. They've added Jeff Teague. They got Jamal Crawford. They added Taj Gibson. They're signing Wiggins to an extension. Next year, they're going to have to sign Towns to an extension. Or is it the year after? Either way, they're going to have to sign. They're putting their team together, and it's certainly going to be interesting this year. They're going to be a tough team to play against.
Yeah, this is probably. I mean, I just love this division. There's a lot of really nice teams in this division. I like a lot of their offseason moves. Timberwolves are another team I really like. Obviously they added Jimmy Butler and Taj Gibson. They're going to bring in that toughness that they originally had with Tom Thibodeau when they were both on the Bulls. Now they're back. Tibbs is the coach of Minnesota. You're looking at a starting lineup: Jeff Teague, Jimmy Butler, who's a great defender, Andrew Wiggins, who has potential to be a great defender. You've got Karl Anthony Towns, who's just all around. He's just a great center. He didn't have a great defensive year last year, but I can see that turning around. Especially I feel like the culture is going to change completely on this team.
Yeah.
It looks like possibly Gorgie Jang's going to start at the 4,
I might start him at the 5 and move Towns down to the 4.
Towns at the 4, Taj Gibson maybe. You might throw him in there.
Be interesting.
Also, they picked up Jamal Crawford. They still got Shabazz Muhammad. There's just so much on this team.
Yeah. Bieka's no slouch either. Nemanja Bieka. He's a
He's going to stretch the floor for him.
Yeah, it might be an interesting fit. I would say, though, that it works now adding Butler, because if your top two guys were Towns and Wiggins, I don't like Wiggins being a top two guy on a championship team. I think that this season he really showed that he's not really willing to make that next jump. There's last year he shot about 53% on his true shooting percentage. He was used, about 29% was his usage percentage. But defensively, my God, was he awful. His box plus minus on the defensive side of the ball was negative 2.9, which is not really what you're looking for out of your top three guys. I think that Wiggins getting a max contract is just more of it shows where the league is at as far as valuing talent for the cash with the players union, the new CBAs and
even
such.
Potential talent.
Yeah, but he hasn't really he's shown the potential, but it's hard. It's very hard when you look at the numbers. He's not a great playmaker. He's not a great defender. He turns the ball over quite a bit, but he scores 22 points a game. It comes down to, are you more of an analytics guy, or are you more of like that eye test kind of person where you need to look at what he does. He jumps out of the gym athletically, but at the same time, he's 22. He needs to start making that jump.
Good news is he is only 22, so he's got a little bit to pick that back up. And one thing I saw that you were going to bring up, this comparison to Gary Harris. We'll get into saw Gary on Twitter. Harris. Obviously, we're taking a look at this per 36 minutes, comparing the two, Gary Harris, Andrew Wiggins. Harris is 1 year older, but he's averaging about 5 less points a game, which is not that big of a deal. But he's averaging more assists, more steals, blocks are basically irrelevant, less turnovers. He's basically better than Andrew Wiggins in the majority of the categories. 3-point shooting, overall field goal percentage. The only thing Wiggins has above him is free throw attempts per game, but they're both shooting about 75% from the free throw line. So
I think that's where Wiggins really excels. He excels at getting to the rim and drawing that contact and shooting from the line very effectively.
Very effective.
I think that it comes down to, is Wiggins and Wiggins and Towns ready to take the next step? Are they ready to find their groove? Are they ready to find their little niche in Minnesota with Jimmy Butler? And I think that Jimmy Butler facilitating that offense a little bit better than Ricky Rubio will certainly help that.
Yeah, and I like with adding Jimmy Butler, I think he's going to be a really great mentor for a guy like Andrew Wiggins. Andrew Wiggins, he almost reminds us a little bit of kind of a Jimmy Butler-esque player, a little bit, just based off of his build. Not necessarily his style yet, but they have some similarities. They're both decent shooters. Andrew Wiggins is very streaky, of course.
Yeah.
But he's so young. He has potential. He was a great defender in college. He was supposed to be this next great defender in the NBA. Obviously hasn't turned out yet. But, I think Jimmy Butler, I think he's going to really, really help him. He's going to help him mature a lot. He's just going to really help that locker room. They're going to change that culture completely there.
One of the things, however, to kind of switch away from the positives, one of the more negative aspects of this team is Jeff Teague's contract. And they really overpaid for him. In my opinion, he is a decent point guard to put out on the floor. He will facilitate for you. He will do all right, but he's not worth what you're paying.
Exactly. He's not that point guard I think they were really looking for.
No, I think that we'll see. We'll see how it goes. I think that Teague. He showed last year in Indiana. He kind of took a step back, but if he can find that Atlanta Hawks Jeff Teague team basketball kind of deal, he can. I think he can really excel in the system. Good. We'll see what happens. Moving on to the next team on our list, we will take a look at the Denver Nuggets. Now, Denver Nuggets, I don't know if you heard, but they added Paul Millsap. Unfortunately, with the way the money and their cap situation worked out, they had to move Danilo Gallinari, which isn't that big of an issue, considering that they still had Wilson Chandler on their bench to kind of fill in that wing role. Gary Harris, who we've mentioned before, is absolutely nuts. Statistically, he's one of the better shooting guards in the NBA, in my opinion. He's one of the more rising stars. And speaking of stars, Nikola Jokic. What do you... I gotta say, Jokic he's something else, man. I'll tell you what.
Yeah, he's kind of like this new generation big guy. You know, he kind of has a little bit of everything. He's still working a little bit on stretching the floor, but his mid-range jumper is pretty good. He can put his back to the basket and do just about whatever he wants to whoever he wants.
Yeah,
he's an incredible passer too, out of the post or just when he has the ball. Really, I mean, he's just so aware. He might be the best passing big man in the league. You know, he's right
definitely
up there. You know, with a guy like Marcus Gasol is a great passer. DeMarcus Cousins is an underrated passer as well.
Yeah.
But I love him. Paul Millsap, I think, is going to be great as well. He's one of the top power forwards in the league. He's kind of been an underrated star, kind of a star that hasn't gotten a lot of love the last few years.
Oh, definitely.
You know, he led that Hawks team to that first seed a few years back before they lost to the Cavs in the conference finals.
Well, I would argue he is a top 5 power forward in the league.
I'd say so.
I think that, what he does with his floor spacing, what he does on the defensive side of the ball is absolutely remarkable.
Definitely.
For what you need. Looking at some of the other players on this team, Will Barton, really nice player on the wing, can score. Jamal Murray, excellent sharpshooter, can shoot the lights out. Was Rookie of the Month a couple of months.
Yeah, he's very up and down, but when he was hot, he was hot.
Yeah, he was very hot. He was nuts. And I think one of the biggest question marks on this team from reaching that next level and becoming a contender is finding their point guard. I think that Emmanuel Mudiay hasn't shown that ability yet to become a top-tier point guard. He's 6'5", he can defend pretty okay, he can facilitate kind of okay, but he just doesn't... He's almost a bigger Ricky Rubio. He's kind of... You can let him go offensively, but he's kind of just better at defense than Ricky Rubio. He can kind of facilitate. It's rough. He needs to cut down the turnovers.
Watching him play offense is kind of hard to watch.
Yeah.
It's just not fluid. He doesn't look comfortable on the offensive end.
No, I wouldn't say so at all. But surprisingly enough, despite Mudiay's efforts, this team did finish last season 4th in terms of total offensive rating. Last season, they also finished 29th out of 30 teams defensively.
Defensively, this team's really gonna struggle. They're gonna be giving up a lot of points, even with the addition of Paul Millsap as a great defender. Gary Harris is also another good defender, but Jokic, Wilson Chandler, Jameer Nelson, Will Barton, Kenneth Faried's still there. Can't forget about Kenneth Faried.
The manimal.
He's gone downhill a little bit. But defensively, it's not going to be pretty. But offensively, it's going to look great. It's going to be fun to watch.
They're doing some decent things up there, but they need to really work on the defensive side of the ball, I will say.
Would you consider Denver one of those league pass teams? Just one of those teams you got to watch?
I wouldn't put them in my league pass just yet. I would, if they were on ESPN or something like that. It's like a Tuesday night. I'm like, yeah, let's go and watch the Nuggets. I'll see what Jokic has got for me. Because honestly, that's one of the main reasons. Him and Gary Harris. Gary Harris and Jokic are two major guys to watch them really pop this year, I would say.
Yeah, very excited to see the Nuggets this season.
Mm-hmm. And with that being said, we're going to transition over to the 41-41 Portland Trailblazers. Now, Portland, they're certainly an interesting-ish team. They don't really have a lot of... They just don't have a lot anymore. They have their two backcourt guys, Dame and McCollum. They finally found their center after replacing LaMarcus Aldridge with Yusuf Nurkic. But overall, this team just is kind of just floating in that mediocrity land right now.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think they're kind of stuck. I love me some Damian Lillard, one of my favorite players in the league. C.J. McCollum's a great talent. The only thing is McCollum and Lillard are both really bad on defense.
Yeah.
They get just shredded every single night by opposing guards. It doesn't matter. Even Emmanuel Mudiay can kind of he can make
I
himself
wouldn't go
look
that
more.
far.
He can make himself look a little more comfortable
Yeah.
against Damian Lillard. But I mean, they've got. I like Yusuf Nurkic. I don't think he's really taking them, over any.
No,
he's not making them leap a whole lot. But I like him. He's he played well towards the end of last season. Noah Vonleh, I really like. He had a really rough beginning to his career, but last year he had a really good, not a really good season, but a big improvement from his rookie season.
Yeah.
He just looked more engaged. Defensively he played very well, and offensively he was starting to make more of an impact throughout the year. Mo Harkless is another guy. He's your 3-and-D guy. He's going to play good defense. He's going to make his open jump shots. But I mean, these guys, they're stuck. They're in that average. They're going to fight for the 8th seed for the next 5 years if they keep this team.
Mm-hmm. I would say, fighting for the 8th seed, I would say.
They're going to be a consistent round 1 sweep to whoever the 1 seed is.
They did dump Crabbe, though, which was good.
They did lose Alan Crabbe, which, I mean, they lost that big contract, which was good. It freed up some space. They still have Evan Turner, who's a really big contract, which is not great.
Yeah, they just need to work out. They lost their front office guy, and they just added a new one this offseason. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see what moves they're making. Who knows? I mean, Damian Lillard and C.J. McCollum is a lot better than some of the other franchises in this league.
Definitely. I mean, they definitely have, Lillard's that. I think he's a franchise player. McCollum's a good second guy to have. I think they need another piece. They were in that Carmelo sweepstakes a little bit. There were rumors about him going there, which I think would have really been nice. But then again, they were likely going to trade Mo Harkless, and then that defense was going to be just as bad as Denver's.
Yeah, they finished. I forget where they finished. They finished pretty low. They finished 24th defensively this season.
Yeah, it was definitely a struggle.
Not the greatest out of Portland. So we'll see if they take the next step. We'll see what happens. Yusuf Nurkic, once he went down in the playoffs as well, he was kind of.
You could just kind of.
You could see that team was certainly different. He brought a new element, which was really good. The Bosnian Beast.
Definitely. Although the Blazers are always competitive against the Warriors, no matter what.
Yeah, they are.
They play tough.
They play up to their competition.
They try. The only thing they have very similar styles of basketball. They shoot a lot of threes, putting the ball in the bucket quite a bit, but they're just obviously not nearly as good as Golden State.
Yeah. Especially defensively.
No, defensively, not even close.
No.
Their goal is just to outscore the Warriors when they play.
They gotta outshoot. Moving on to the next team on our list, we would be looking at the Utah Jazz, perhaps a team that will see the biggest decline this year. They obviously lost Gordon Hayward, but they made up for it with Ricky Rubio? Not really. I'm just messing. They're kind of stuck. Again, I see them at the most fighting for an 8th or a 7th seed. They got a great rim protector in Rudy Gobert. Derek Favors isn't bad. They picked out a great draft pick in Donovan Mitchell.
I love Donovan Mitchell.
Balling out.
Really good this summer.
And I think that they need to add another piece. They need to find another Gordon Hayward. They need to hit on a draft pick. They need to do something if they're going to stay competitive in this tight, top-heavy Western Conference.
I mean, if you look at this team, too, a lot of these guys were draft picks that they had. Rudy Gobert. I believe Derek Favors also was. Rodney Hood was another one of their draft picks. Dante Exum. So, I mean, I believe Alec Burks was as well. A lot of these guys were, they've been on this team for quite a while. Other than Rodney Hood, he's only been there a few years. But, I mean, they kind of rely on the draft. They're trying to find that diamond in the rough right now.
Yeah, because nobody's coming to Utah on free agency.
No, definitely not.
Nobody wants to go live in Utah, to say the least. I mean,
not
to say that there are
stars.
fans out in Utah listening to the Triple Double podcast right now. We love all our fans of the Triple Double podcast, but it's not a premier free agent target. I think that they don't have a good scorer anymore. Hayward was their consistent 20 to 25 point scorer, and they don't have that anymore. They're going to need Rodney Hood to become that 20-point scorer night in, night out. They have Quinn Snyder as their head coach, and he's just.
I love me some Quinn Snyder.
Do you actually?
I love me some Quinn Snyder.
Interesting.
I think he's one of the best coaches in the entire league.
Really?
Yes, definitely. I mean, look what he did with that Utah Jazz team. I mean, they were consistently on the rise, winning about 40 games a year for a little while. Then last year they finally, I don't know if they peaked, but they took that leap. They won 51 games last year with Gordon Hayward as their star. Obviously, you know, they just weren't enough to get past Golden State. But I mean, I think he's the right guy for the job. I just don't really know where the Jazz go from here. You know, they've got, I guess their cornerstone of their franchise currently is Rudy Gobert, but you can't really build around Rudy Gobert.
No, you don't want to build around your rim protector.
No,
you want to add him in.
I mean, I've got a friend who loves some Rudy Gobert, but I'm sorry to break it to you, man, but I mean, he's one of the top. He may be the top defensive center in the league, but I mean, you just can't build your team around this guy.
No, I'm not saying build your team around Rudy Gobert.
Oh no,
I'm saying that like having Rudy Gobert in as your like third guy, out of your top three, maybe even second.
He might have to be a fourth guy.
Yeah, but with that money and like the way the cap situation works out, you'd have to figure out a way to make it work. But this team did finish third defensively. Yeah, they're a really great defensive team. Joe Ingles is a nice piece. We'll just have to see. Utah probably not going to finish first in this division, I would say.
No, I wouldn't say. They still have Joe Johnson, who everybody loves some Joe Johnson, especially in the playoffs. But
Joe Johnson.
I don't see them. I don't think they have enough firepower to make a playoff spot this year. I really do like Ricky Rubio. I like, if he had a jump shot, I think he'd be really good. Other than his defense, of course, but I just don't think everything's going to fit together right this year.
No, I don't think so either. We'll see what happens. I mean, the NBA is a crazy place. Got some spooky teams. We got some nasty teams in the Oklahoma City Thunder. The Nuggets are doing things, and the Timberwolves, they're still spooky. We'll see what happens. Trailblazers doing things. With that being said, that closes up our Triple Double podcast. Be sure to share this podcast with your friends. Be sure to share it with your grandma. Be sure to share it with your neighbor's dog. Do whatever you have to do to show us some love. Send us a message. Please check out our YouTube channel if you don't like coming onto the website. If you want all your streaming services all on YouTube. If you want to follow us on Twitter, please do so at Triple Double Pod. Follow us on SoundCloud at Triple Double Podcast if that's where you consume your podcast or your listening or your music. Please feel free to follow us on Instagram. We post all the time some fun stuff. With that being said, this has been the Triple Double Podcast. I'm Eddie Fitzgerald.
I'm Hunter Nicely.
And have a great day, everybody.